The following is really not suitable for anybody. If you're still listening.
Valentine's Day. The most romantic, wonderful, loving day of the year. Time for kisses and smooches and chocolate and hugs and chocolate and aggressive makeout sessions and hugs and smooches.
Ah! Bug! Shoot, I think I just killed Cupid.
Bonjour, mes chéris. I am the Love Doctor, and I'm here with another piece of love advice. Tip number 7. Once in a while, your sweetie will want to dress you in a funny costume or smart new sweater. Just go with it. The dumber the outfit, the greater the number of treats you will earn while wearing it.
Here, get ready. Here, I'm gonna come.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Hi, Nick. Wow. Pretty good, thanks. Blow me. You hardly even know me. Just set yourself below me and blow me tonight. A handy would certainly be dandy, but it's not enough to slow me. You gotta blow me.
Oh, it's a tiny penis!
But in point of actual fact, all I really want to do is have intercourse with you as soon as possible.
What do you say we go out on a date? Have some chicken, maybe some sex. You know, see what happens.
Hi. I just got out of the shower.
Yeah. Can I borrow your towel for a sec? My car just hit a water buffalo.
Well played.
I noticed your glass was getting a little low, so I took the liberty of bringing you another apple martini. And I couldn't help but notice you look a lot like my next girlfriend.
I see you're drinking 1%. Is that because you think you're fat? Because you're not. You could be drinking whole if you wanted to. This is 100 Proof. I am Aldo Gandia, and happy Valentine's to you and your loved ones. If you're a woman and listening to this on Valentine's Day, then you need to give me a call because my wife is out of town. And if you're a man and listening to this, then your wife or girlfriend needs to give me a call because my wifey is out of town. But seriously, happy Valentine's Day to you all. Hope it's filled with love and laughs and, of course, some football talk. I must begin by telling you that WGNradio.com Bears insider Adam Hogue was to join us on this Tuesday night recording, but something came up and we hope to have him next week. Adam, we hope that everything is fine and we will hopefully see you next week. But don't you worry, everyone. The stars of this nightclub act are here. They are, of course, Draft Dr. Flirtation and the smartest man in the barroom, Shane Marsaw. And they are ready to talk football, crack some jokes, and a little later, my barroom wife. She hates being called that, by the way, but I'm going to give myself the liberty of doing it for one more show. Bears Girl will be here to play a special Valentine's Day game that she's been working on for weeks. But first, we must talk some football, and I want to start with Draft Dr. Phil, because I know you have received a lot of feedback from your Bears Hour Live show from earlier this week, where you made a thoughtful case for the Chicago media to stop dissing running back Jordan Howard, and for the national media to start taking notice of how great this player is. What have you heard from Monday night's show?
I stand by my opinion and my grades on it. I know the tape speaks for itself, and it's unfortunate that the Chicago Bears media department has a fumble in this as well, because here you have this superstar on the football field really never given his proper due by the home website to help educate the fan, the common fan who just remembers him dropping that pass against the Atlanta Falcons or another pass against another team or whatever it was, and they have this negative thought process. And despite the whole script of the guy getting injured and walking off the field in pain only to come back in the game time and time again and even get that walk-off touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers and the one against the Ravens, and just continually give his heart and soul. All the traits, all of the things that I graded all come back to reality when it's matched up with the tape. And again, it's an honest shot at the Bears. It's funny because on this show, and I know we're going to have Adam Hogue on, and maybe we need to talk about that point, because we've mentioned it time and time again for the last 2 years, me and Shane fully analyzing the lack of information, multimedia breakdown and analysis that the main website doesn't give, for fear they're giving away clues or intel of some sort, which is a fabrication of any truth. And then you look at the team that just won the Super Bowl that puts up breakdowns with their coaches, showing the anatomy of their play and draft prospects and breaking them down in game film and all 22 and giving you these views, while the Chicago Bears are going to give you Tom Thayer on one play breaking it down with pictures, for God's sake. He can't even use video sometimes. So to me, it goes hand in hand. This guy, Jordan Howard, is ahead of the game. The Chicago Bears could really use the kick in the ass when it comes to promoting their players and their superstars. Even Mitchell Trubisky, his improvement, that should be on tape too. But when you're talking about these grades, though, Aldo, nobody changed my mind. I know it drum up a lot of conversation. People DM me, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I would take Howard over Forte. I agree. I think his hand should be a C+, whatever. I was grading on the scale of improvement, focus on that and what it is he's going through. And let's not forget what I said, him playing with an injury. You think that might have something to do with somebody dropping a pass here and there? Because you're playing injured. I know what it's like to lift your hands, and if it's not in the appropriate place, sometimes you could drop the ball in pain. I'm not making up excuses for the guy, because I saw improvement go down the way. I just know that he was playing injured, Aldo, and it is what it is. It's common denominator football. And what I mean by that, when defensive coordinators game plan to stop you, and you have an offensive coordinator that doesn't understand how to block a front, and the running back is still doing it and bringing it and can't be stopped, and after the games are done, players on the other team are saying what an unbelievable player the guy is. It's a respect thing. And the Bear fans and the media in the Chicago, half of them just don't get what it is and what it takes to do that. They're spoiled and they take it for granted. And Jordan Howard shouldn't. And that's why I took it upon myself to do the tape and talk about him on the last show, because clearly it's become a hot topic.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to seeing your 10-minute movie on Jordan Howard. Should be not only informative, but entertaining. Now I want to bring Shane Marsaw in. And Shane, I know you listened to portions of Bears Hour Live, and you just heard Phil talk about Jordan Howard. What are your thoughts about Howard? Do you think maybe Phil perhaps overgraded in some areas? And what do you make of this contention by a Chicago's sports host who says that Jordan Howard is a good back, but not an elite back?
Well, the whole thing with that surrounded Jordan Howard, and it goes back to this type of thing coming up in the off season with who's elite, who's not elite. And I tweeted out, and it drives me crazy, because none of these labels matter. It's really off season fodder to fire fans up. And I mean, to me, all that matters is, can you win a Super Bowl with Jordan Howard at running back? Yeah, absolutely you can. And I posed the question out there to David Kaplan, and he didn't respond to me. But who was the last elite, quote unquote, elite running back to lead his team to a Super Bowl? I'm still waiting for his answer. Mm-hmm. This isn't 1983. It's not it's not the 70s anymore. You need so much more. But to me, you're like Phil said, you're tearing down a kid just to tear him down. We're talking about a 23-year-old running back. Now, people said he can't catch the ball, and I mean, that in itself is a fallacy. He doesn't catch the ball like Zeke Elliott does. Jordan Howard has 52 receptions in his career. Ezekiel Elliott has 58, but Jordan Howard can't catch. Well, so that myth holds no water. And when you're talking about a kid that's just on a team that's really has Mike Glennon was our quarterback. Did anybody see the Pittsburgh game? What did Jordan Howard do? He's facing 8 and 9-man boxes week after week after week, and the kid is still producing. Now, I was a Matt Forte fan, but it's readily known out there in Twitter world, and Phil knows my thoughts on it. I thought we kept Forte too long. I was waiting for Phil last night to say the hop, skip, and the jump. If you go back and watch Matt Forte his last couple of years in Chicago, there was a lot of that going on behind the line of scrimmage. Before he didn't see the hole and hit the hole. He got the ball, he hopped, and then he skipped to the left or the right, and then he ran. And a lot of times, how many 3rd and 1s did we watch under Matt Forte that got stuffed? You don't see that very often with Jordan Howard. He's always moving forward. Does he have A+ hands? No, he doesn't. Does he need to work? Did he drop some catchable balls? Yes, he did. I mean, but at the end of the day, I think it was Trey that brought it up. He's a running back. They drafted Tariq Cohen to bring that added element to the game of, being a more versatile player where they can deploy him. I mean, but unfortunately, we had Dowell Loggins who had no clue how to have a young back that can churn out yards in the backfield and also deploy Tariq Cohen at the same time. He had no ability to do that, and to me, it makes no sense at all. But to get back just to focus on Jordan Howard, yes, he's exactly who you want as a running back. Is he as explosive as Shady McCoy? Is he as explosive as Zeke Elliott? No, he's not. But he's the perfect type of back for the elements in Soldier Field. You saw him going up, when the weather gets bad against San Francisco, and he's able to gut out those tough yards. But he just keeps on coming. And when the Bears give him the ball 20+ times in the game, even as inept as these Chicago teams have been over the past 2 years, they win. And now we got the quarterback. You already have the running back there. You have your versatile weapon in Tariq Cohen. Hopefully Matt Nagy knows how to deploy these guys. And I talked about it before. This is just more of to me, it's the media trying to put a label on a kid just to tear him down for a reason. And I know we're going to get into the dumbest tweets section, and not to spoil what it is, but we may bring this up a little bit, during that segment again, so I won't get into it too much. But to me, it's just more of trying to tear the kid down where you don't need to. You're talking about a 22 or a 23-year-old running back that's got the most rushing yards in the history of the Chicago Bears in his first 2 years, and also has 52 career receptions. It's craziness to tear the kid down.
Hey, I'm going to go ahead and speculate here on something because, David Kaplan's the reason he's giving that Howard is not an elite back is because an NFL football coach told him that. And so I'm starting to think, well, who could it have been? Well, Kaplan was just recently at a party with Tom Waddle, and there was a football coach there. His name was John Fox.
Exactly.
Could John Fox?
Very good.
Could John Fox have floated this theory in order to make himself look better? I didn't have the players. Ryan Pace never really gave me the players. Jordan Howard is not an elite back. Could he have possibly said that? Maybe.
And do we know of a coach that actually coached Jordan Howard last year that kept him on the bench for the first 4 games? Do we know anybody like that?
Yeah. 2016 season. How about it? Absolutely.
He still was second in the NFL in rushing that year.
In 12 games.
In 12 games, Shane. And Aldo pointed it out in the video. His touchdowns improved. His yards per carry were 5.2 that year. This year, they were 4.6. He was only behind Hunt from Kansas City, whose offensive coordinator is coming here, who had 4.9. This is a guy facing stacked boxes every week, almost every down. He's the defensive coordinator. How we stop the Bears? Ask yourself that as a football person, as a host of a radio show. How are you as a defensive coordinator? What's your game plan? What should you do? Anybody who has a license to drive will understand. Oh, you got to stop Jordan Howard. The Bears receivers sucked. The Bears offensive line sucked. They were injured. You're having Grisou start play. What he did should be freaking. They should have a parade for him. Instead, we're tearing this kid down. It's disgusting. It's just ridiculous. This is a guy that's Shane. Remember the kid fumbled? He's fumbled one time in his career. One time in all these carries. Nobody's bringing that stat up except me. He's fumbled one time. Guess what? He was benched in that game. He had 115 yards, I think, and in the third quarter, he fumbles. He gets benched the whole rest of the game. The Bears lose to Tampa, and then that's okay. That's good coaching. Selective accountability, everything you could possibly send the wrong messages. So, I mean, the kid is a fucking superstar on tape. There's no doubt in my mind. I will put him up. If I was starting a team, Shane, they asked me this question, so you answer it. Forte, rookie. Howard, rookie. Who you taking? Your head coach.
In all honesty, I mean, this is looking back at we got Forte in 2000.
No, you know everything about them now as pros. That was the setup, so it's not your draft grade back then. I'm saying right now you know everything about these two. You go back in time.
I can run my 4-minute offense and churn out the tough yards. I feel more confident, way more confident doing that with Jordan Howard than I do with Matt Forte.
Exactly. So,
and to me, that's
Howard for the slow listener.
Right. Well, yeah, and I know that's people.
But situational football too.
Yeah, and Phil, when you're breaking down any type of a game, what is going to be more important than your 4-minute offense? You want to have that horse back there. Forte, the best part of his game was the versatility, yes. But when it came right down to it, think about it this way.
Business decisions.
if Matt Forte's first 2 seasons were in 2016 and 2017,
that's great conversation right there.
With this offense with stacked boxes, do you think he's putting up the rushing numbers?
No.
I think his reception numbers go up and his receiving yards go up. I think
people might have labeled him a bust, to be perfectly honest.
Right. And one thing, Phil, that I want to point out, and you can agree or disagree with me here, and a lot of people nowadays, and we know how it is, not all of them are degenerates like we are and break down every little detail. I think what kills Jordan Howard in the public opinion of people that aren't Bears fans, I think they see this big running back that doesn't have this home run, Todd Gurley open field speed that can, Chris Johnson type that can take it 85 yards. They're going to turn on their Madden game, and he doesn't have 97 speed. They're going to look, and it's going to be 87 or 88, and they're going to say, oh, this guy fucking sucks. His speed is, it's in the 80s. He's no good. And I honestly think some of that, it's not probably coming into play with Kaplan, but with a lot of the fans that aren't Bears fans, I think they look at stupid shit like that, and then they justify how good the player is off of that. And there's just so much more to Jordan Howard's game. He's not a speed back. But you know what? Stack the fucking box. The guy is still going to destroy you. Look at what he did versus Pittsburgh. Look what he did versus Baltimore.
Shadow their own end zone here. Here's Jordan Howard. Making the cut upfield, stays on his feet, breaks loose. Howard going down the sideline. Howard being chased by Carr, and Carr got to him and knocked him out of bounds. What a run by Jordan Howard.
How many long runs did Walter Payton have? Long touchdown breakaway runs.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's
because the same knock was against him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It really was. And then I also want to talk about something to this point, Shane. Philosophically, my father pointed out to me after I sent him a preview of the tape of what I'm doing and for Bears Barroom, the Jordan Howard video. And he's like, he gets no help downfield. That was his I go, what do you mean? He's like, the receivers are helping what the offensive line should be doing. They're having to knock off a linebacker here to create a space,
right?
And no one's getting up at the safety, so the long run can be happen. You need help sometimes. And
I think it was the San Francisco game, Phil. Going back, do you remember that one block? If Dontrell Inman even puts his hands on a guy,
yes,
he's gone. He's gone. I mean, he's still running. But it's little things like that. And I mean, that you can put that on any, I mean, that's going to happen to every running back in the NFL. But when you're on an inept offense, that every yard does matter, that's an even bigger deal.
Shane, you sent me the statistics. I mean, I don't know in comparison how many other running backs, but I can see his runs against the Indianapolis Colts where he takes off. He's running 22 miles per hour. Like, that's fast. You have no idea how fast. The game speed this guy has. He gets no help downfield. My father is 100% right, and he's creating everything, breaking arm tackles. He refuses to go down on first contact. Everything you want in a back, this guy has, and he does have speed. It really is a philosophy of football. That's why I think it's going to be a 180, because if you get that tight end through the seam and all of a sudden you're picking off a safety and he hits that crease and all of a sudden he's in the secondary, then he's going to score. Against the Vikings, he had this long 52-yard run for a touchdown. He outruns the Newman, who has the angle. He outruns the linebacker who gets turned, and he outruns the safety and scores a touchdown. 22, Smith. He outruns them all. Guess what? They throw a phantom hold on Wheaton. This isn't played over and over on SportsCenter. This isn't, to Shane's point, where the fantasy football fans say, oh, shoot, Howard had a 52-yard touchdown. Instead of 12 points, I got 18. yeah, I got to get that dude next year. That's what we're living in. So what is my job, to be honest with you, is to point out this guy has long runs. He has breakaway runs. He's just not getting help. Balance, agility, everything I graded this guy on I stand by it 100%. And I think with a coaching staff, with the offensive line coach alone, like Heiston, that is going to go in there and block these fronts appropriately, have help at the second and third levels for this guy, I think you're going to see a hell of a lot more big plays. And I'm going to be there to tell you I told you so, because I know there's going to be a lot of backpedalers and a lot of flip-flops. David Kaplan already backed me, and him went at it a little more. He trolled in, Shane. I know you've been busy. He trolled in and said, I would get a valedictorian if I had those grades. I said, yeah, at whatever college he went to the small school.
Yeah.
And then he comes back again like, you got to be kidding me, or whatever. But the reality is, Kaplan comes back and backpedals off his quotes that he said. And tearing down that kid, I just think is awful. And if anything, at least we as Bears Barroom and the Barfly Army got our message across that shit isn't okay.
Who on the Chicago Bears team deserves less criticism than this guy? You know what I mean? When you think about it, that's
what I said. He's the best player on the team. If I was ranking them, he's number one, right?
That's how you know that you're dealing with a crapster that's just trying to get the fans fired up. I mean,
Shane, but there's an army of sheep following this and believing it. That's the problem.
But there's also an army of people out there, like I said, getting back to the Madden thing that go, you got your Lance Poyers of the world that go down and go to the speed column and sort by that. And all right, I'm going to ooh, this guy's got a 97 speed, and this is where we got to go. And as dumb as that sounds, Phil, that shit really happens. There's a lot of fans out there that go.
That's why we do this show, Shane.
Look at the attributes and say, all right, Jordan Howard's whatever he is, 88 speed on Madden. All right, he's not good.
And Matt Miller's fucking putting the numbers out there.
Yeah.
I'm just learning about offensive linemen, so one week before the draft, I'm going to flip-flop a guy from 8 to 3 and a guy from 4 to 2.
Right, and let's be honest. A lot of people were down on Jordan Howard. He dropped to the 5th round for whatever reason. I mean, yes, he was injured in college and he missed some time. And when you're talking about a bigger back like that, there is durability concerns. But we haven't had to deal with that in Chicago. Classic cases, look back to that Pittsburgh game. Go back and watch the tape, Phil. When he's running up the left sideline, he's twisting his body all the way around. So when he takes the impact, he's taking the impact on his left shoulder to preserve his right shoulder, because remember when he was dealing with the shoulder issue there. But
Shane, I confirmed AC joint pain all season long.
Yeah,
confirmed.
Yeah, from a running back.
From a running back. Yeah, I played the position, same thing in high school. I know you probably didn't, or maybe you did hear that last night. But we'll say it again. I can lift my arm up to catch the ball sometimes.
Yeah,
and I have the softest hands you'll ever see.
Greetings, the Love Doctor here with another tasty tidbit of love advice. Tip number 3. Never miss an opportunity to shower your sweetie with praise and treats. A big, plentiful shower of treats every day, all the time. Maybe even a whole bathtub full of treats. Sorry, I got a bit carried away.
I will compete with anyone in catching the football. I always have. I just couldn't do it like I normally could because of the pain. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the truth. This is something that the Bears media department, remember what they did to Cutler? Don't say it doesn't happen. Remember the fact that Cam Meredith and Jordan Howard weren't starting? This organization has been a shitstorm. It's been the the joke in Brunt, you're lucky there's Cleveland. That's the joke in the back rooms of the NFL. You're lucky there's Cleveland. Can you imagine that? And that's John Fox at a party talking about Jordan Howard. To me, it's disgusting, and it's totally time to uplift it and recognize that's a guy, Shane, turning his body, had this red flag coming out that he was injured, that he's picking himself up and playing injured all year.
Phil, you know what makes a guy like him special is you brought it up last night on BHL, talking about when Indiana played Michigan. He had like 36 carries for 253 yards, right around there. That game, you know what? I think his long run that game was 7 yards, and he had over 250 yards. Think about that. That doesn't mean that he's a terrible running back, but that means that he's getting the tough yards against stacked boxes, and they still can't stop him. That tells you.
I think he had a few longer runs, and I remember in that game. But to your point, he was just down the stretch, just pounding them. They couldn't stop him. You're average 7 yards a clip. How many carries does it take to get a first down, Canada? If you're out there, the answer's 2, eh? So every 2 carries, he's getting a first down. Think about that, Madden players.
I do think, though, that, Phil, your grades might have been a little generous in some areas. I would not have given him a B- in hands. I think the issue that a lot of fans have, and I don't think it's as big a deal as some fans, but I would probably grade his hands more in the C level, is that he has dropped some big passes in critical times of the game. And so you can forgive more a drop pass in the first half of a game than you can in the third or late in the fourth quarter. And so I think that's been one of the issues that has perhaps downgraded him in the eyes of others. Now, I totally agree with you and Shane that he is as elite as a back as we can get in the NFL now. I mean, if you are starting a football team and after you've picked your quarterback and you're starting to look for running backs, if you're not picking Jordan Howard within the first 3, 4, 5 picks, then you're not really building a offense that needs a back to control the football game, because that's what Jordan Howard does. He can control the football game. You got a lead in the fourth quarter, going into the fourth quarter, he can control the game, get you an insurance touchdown, and you will know that he's going to get up after a hard hit, that he's going to just play exemplary football. But if you're going to bypass him, it's because you're going to run a Mark Trestman have the running back catch 100+ passes. Don't pay attention to the run game. Never run. I mean, that was the criticism with Trestman. He never fucking runs the ball. And then the criticism with Loggins from those games, he never fucking right. So it was opposite. Trestman never runs and Loggins never passed or some shit. I don't know. Whatever.
No, you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
When you're talking about
didn't know situational football
exactly
at all. So here's a personnel package that historically, from his rookie season coming into this season, he was the #1 rusher out of the shotgun, using that mesh point action, zone, downhill. He could do it all. Power plays. Out of the shotgun, he's #1. They don't run shotgun runs until later in the season or mix it up. It should be a part of what it is that you do and counter off of that. Never did it. Having both backs on the football field, we've documented that. He didn't want Cohen, the defense dictating the offense, all that drama. So do you think that might have hindered your star running back? Because I know if the Carolina Panthers had a Jordan Howard, do you think they're a better football team? If the New England Patriots had a Jordan Howard, do you think they are better? That is the stuff I know.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're 100% Aldo. If I'm starting a football team Give me the list of guys. I would have drafted Todd Gurley that year.
Me too.
So I'm not going to lie to you. You know, I would have ranked Gurley over Howard. Howard, as a pro, has 180'd his abilities. The knock, as Shane said, the injuries and what have you. But as the season went on, I thought the shoulder injury hindered him, the offensive line, the offensive core. He's working against all odds. Drop Phil Collins right there.
How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave without a trace.
Phil, you don't think that Bradley Sowell and Tom Compton helped him out?
I said that last time. You got guys that can't play guard playing guard. You're still running philosophy and scheme outside zone with Grisou and Sowell. It's like, how is this guy getting these yards? He's instinctively cutting back, breaking 2 tackles in the backfield, and getting it to the second. I mean, even with a rookie quarterback, it's not a knock on Mitch. You're stacking the box, daring him to throw, and you're running into the teeth of the defense, and he's getting yards. Fans need to appreciate that.
So take a look at me now.
Phil, before we move on, Aldo, real quick, one more thing that I'd like to bring up on the subject is, I think where we get in trouble a lot, even as fans and even with media members, I think a lot of them correlate, if you're not elite, that you're not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen these quarterbacks? Who's the elite quarterbacks in the NFL? Well, just because you're not Tom Brady doesn't mean that you're not a good quarterback. If Jordan Howard isn't Todd Gurley, if he isn't Ezekiel Elliott, does that mean that he's not a good running back? Does that mean that you can't win with him just because a media member didn't put the label of elite on him? That's the part that pisses me off. I mean, I tweeted this to David Kaplan. I said, you can say that he's not elite. You can call him that. I'm going to call him an excellent running back. And that's what it comes down to me. Did anybody watch the Super Bowl this year? Who are the running backs? Do you remember their names? You know what I mean? That's what happens. You don't need an elite running back. I mean, Saquon Barkley this year, he's fantastic. Do you need Saquon Barkley to go to the Super Bowl? Phil, you don't. You really don't in the NFL. Can you get there with him? Absolutely you can.
Yeah.
Can you get there with Jordan Howard? You bet your ass he can. He can lead you there.
Well, and the thing too is that once you're in the Super Bowl, Jordan Howard could be your most valuable player in that game. You get off to a small lead and you have a strong defense like the Bears project to have, and Jordan Howard will carry the ball 30-plus times in that game and nullify the other team's offense because he'll keep them off the field.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other backs won't do that.
He's going to be your young defense's best friend.
Exactly.
Jordan Howard is. That's why I brought up the 4-minute offense. I think a lot of people,
your quarterback.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that 4-minute offense. A lot of people don't talk about it. They'll say 2-minute drill. But Phil, you're a coach. 4-minute offense. That's where you're.
You can control the game.
Yep.
Listen, go back. It's 2016. Jordan Howard's a rookie, and watch the Viking game. I think that was the best coached game by John Fox and his staff that I ever saw, and that'll be the only positive I could say about that staff. They're so incompetent. They hindered, and we joked about this the whole season, by not opening competition and doing things the appropriate way. They neglected talent. They don't see it. They didn't use it appropriately. And when you go watch that Viking game, as Shane's talking about, Jordan Howard took the life out of this defense that these Viking fans were talking about as, the 85 Bears were building the greatest defense ever. Jordan Howard and that offensive line single-handedly slapped them, stomped on their throats, and choked them out, and then came back and jumped off the top rope and slammed them again. It was that destructiveness that he just, 4 minutes, he just pounded them down the field into submission, where you just saw Viking players give up. And that's what he could do. And if you watch that game closely, it's something to be seen. The talent of this kid, to me, is, as Aldo said, if you're starting a franchise, I'm not being biased. I swear, I have nothing but amazement when I watch running backs and great ones at that. This guy's in the great category. And that's how I see it. And that's what you build on. That's the foundation. The 4-minute offense, as Shane said, just controls the game. How many games are you in the NFL? Parity rules the day. You got to be able to do this and all these cliches. But really, ultimately, if you can get first downs and keep another team off the scoreboard, you win.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you.
All right, we're just teasing an upcoming segment where we're going to be playing a form of the dating game, mating game, match game.
Match game. Celebrity Bears Barroom Celebrity Match Game, folks.
That is right. But first, we're going to transition to...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's the smartest man in the barroom, but not always in the bed. We know this to be true from the panties found on his head.
Nice.
He's the smartest man.
Well done. You had a little extra music there, so we're missing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But you did a really nice job there. That is definitely a
stepping up, Phil. Thank you.
Yards after carry. Very well done. All
yes. Right. All right, well, let's extend our last segment into this segment a little bit, and let's go to at the Cap Man. David Kaplan is going to make an appearance here.
Hada ho.
This continues our Jordan Howard talk, and when he said that he's not even top 5 within the division, and somebody asked him who was better, and here is his list. Well, Dalvin Cook is better. He just has to prove that he's healthy. And I read that, and I just sat there and I stared at that for a little while. I mean, Dalvin Cook played in, I don't know, what did he play in, 4 or 5 games? And did he have a lot of hype coming in out of Florida State? Yes, he did. He had his issues, and he flashed a couple of games. You're talking about a kid.
The dumbest comment I've ever heard.
You're talking about a kid in Jordan Howard that has went out there 32 times, and has he had huge games every game? No, but he's the quickest running back in Chicago Bears history to get to 10 100-yard games. He did it in 23 games. It took Walter Payton 28. You know what I mean?
You throwing stats.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well
but I mean, it's just you talk about a shot in the dark. Does Dalvin Cook, is he more versatile? Sure, maybe he is. He has the potential to be.
He's done nothing.
Exactly.
He's done nothing. It's ridiculous, Shane. That's like hypothetical. You know what? If this guy didn't get hurt, he would have been a better player than Jordan. Len Bias.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to get into he's the not even top 5 in the division. I mean, you can't even make it.
He backpedaled on that with me on Twitter. He said, I admitted I was joking.
Yeah, and even if he was talking about the conference, I mean, that's not even a plausible, argument there, saying that he's not top 5 within the NFC. But it's ridiculous, and like I said, it's nothing more than David Cat. I mean, are we sure? How many games of Dalvin Cook do you think David Kaplan has watched? Honestly, think about it, and I'm being serious.
Guy can't catch.
Do you think he watched more than 10 or 15 carries of the guy in his entire Florida State career.
What's his name? Kaplan claims that he watches tape of football players to lead up to the draft, but I don't think he does much of it. I think he just, he's a casual
guy's too
fan.
busy watching the Cubs.
That's right, writing books about the Cubs and selling
I just can't
pizza.
take baseball. Sorry, guys. There's no excitement there.
But you're talking about a proven commodity that I think is Dalvin Cook and Jordan Howard. Are they both 23 years old? I don't have Cook's age.
I think they are.
Right, and it's just the versatility. Okay, sure. Well, even that can be debated at this point, just because his track record is so. He's
done nothing.
He's done nothing, right? It's just
there's no validity to it.
He's put out extremely limited NFL tape. And that's, for David Kaplan to say that, it was an easy pick for me for one of my dumbest tweets of the week.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
Yeah, there's a 1 year difference between the two players. Howard is currently 23, will be 24 in November, and Cook is 22. He'll be 23 in October. Let me add to that. Maybe you guys mentioned it and I missed it. Dalvin Cook had a lot of problems at Florida. It's a reason why his draft stock dropped. And so, again, Phil mentioned the high character of Jordan Howard. Do you want to go with the high character of Dalvin Cook? No offense, Mr. Cook, but if I'm picking a football team, that's one of the things I'm looking at. In fact, I believe that he probably was not even on the Bears draft board because of what's happened to him at Florida.
Hey, Aldo, let me ask you this: when we're talking about how important versatility is, you're Ryan Pace. And Rick Spielman comes to you and wants to trade you Dalvin Cook for Tariq Cohen straight up. What are you doing?
No, thank you.
Correct.
Exactly.
But he's so that great. So you wouldn't do it for Tariq Cohen, but he's infinitely better than the starting running back, than the fucking bell cow. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense at all.
It doesn't.
But if you tweeted that to David Kaplan, he'd
Wally
just call
Hussein will tell you.
Yeah, doctor. Yeah, the real draft doc, right?
Love.
And Aldo, you talk about Dalvin Cook with his not being on the Bears draft board. Mm-hmm. You know one other reason he wasn't on the Bears draft board? Because of Jordan Howard. You know what I mean? We were in the running back game that early in the second. I mean, I know Philly really thought that they could stick where they were and have him fall into their laps. Minnesota made the move and went right ahead of him and grabbed him. And if you look back at Minnesota's track record, they take a lot of chances on character guys. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. It's not just you remember Demetrius Underwood in the first round? Remember whatever happened with that guy?
Demetrius.
But it's one of those things. And Philly thought that they could wait in the fourth round and have Tariq Cohen fall in their lap. And they got burnt there, too. So they really wanted to have a backfield of Dalvin Cook and Tariq Cohen. Philadelphia did the fucking Super Bowl champs. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost out on two of their players that they coveted by waiting. But, I mean, Jesus. He's not – he wouldn't even be the best – he wouldn't even be
Imagine the Lions with Jordan Howard.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine what they would do with that fucker coming downhill out of the shotgun and our linebackers tackling and Stafford throwing balls over the top.
Jim Bob Gooder would be like, who dis?
Exactly. The Lions fans are like, we wouldn't know what to do. But honestly, that motherfucker coming downhill, I mean, it is, I mean, guys, I know I keep bringing this up, but I cut so many like 4 and 5 yard runs that were impressive out of this, and I still have almost a little over 9 minutes of highlights of this guy. It's just nonstop, and it's like I don't have an analogy, and I'm usually just make one up at the moment. But it's like, you fucking found a deserted island, and you're the only one who sees it sometimes. And that's what I feel like. Like, this is a treasure. Cherish it. Instead, you're trying to knock him down. I think about his tears coming down in that rookie draft video, Shane. I remember you sending it to me, talking about his dad, and he couldn't help but just feel for this kid. And to tear him down when he's given so much, it's just awful. It really is. Pick on Grasu and his fucking family's pizzeria. Don't pick on Howard, for God's sake. These same fucks were saying the same shit to me about Adrian Amos. How did that work out? When I'm sitting there grading Adrian Amos, then PFF comes out with some scores. Then there's a little percolating in the ear. Yeah. And I stood by my guns and what I watched on tape. Now where are we? You got 2 promising young safeties. That's where.
Hey, Phil, the last 2 years, Jordan Howard, he has 15 20-plus yard runs. And he has 15 20-plus yard runs the last 2 seasons. Wow. And he has 5 that went for 40-plus.
Wow.
But he's not a game breaker. He's too slow.
Hey, before we move on, I'd like to ask Shane a question. Can you help me with... It's like seeing a deserted island, but you're the only one that sees it. Because if it's a deserted island, you're the only one on the deserted island.
Yeah, you found the deserted because there's no one there.
Yep.
You're out deserted, and you want to share it. Like, yo.
That's deep, brother. That's deep.
Yeah. Lost.
I love it. I love it. All right.
But when I'm watching the tape, I'm by myself, looking for that person behind you, like, are you seeing this shit? And then there's no one there. You're like, I gotta bring this to the table because it's so impressive. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He once taught Matt Miller how to make homemade raspberry lemonade. Unfortunately for Matt, he didn't listen when Shane taught him how to draft grade. He's the smartest man.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
It's a little step down, but still acceptable. We're not delving into Phil territory from 2-3 weeks ago.
That's for sure.
I'll give you some props.
This is definitely winning football.
Yes. So this is getting to be a barroom favorite in North America. This guy. And this is at J Carter 54. Jeffrey L. Carter. He sent out talent. Yeah. Talent wins in the NFL. Good coaching only takes you so far, with the exception of great coaches. So here we are back with this again. Coaching does not matter. It's just it's talent. You guys remember the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles, the Dream Team? Remember the Super Bowl they won that year? Oh wait, they won 4 fucking games. The Dream Team.
Carter.
Yeah, did they have any talent on that team? Yeah, they had a ton of talent on that team. They didn't win shit. Yeah, coaching absolutely matters. Do you think if you took Bill Belichick off of the New England Patriots, do you think that they're in 8 Super Bowls, Phil?
No.
Do you think if Bill Belichick is coaching the Chicago Bears that we win 5 games this year?
No.
Exactly. So yes, coaching matters, and it matters in this sport more so than any other sport, quite honestly.
Amen.
And I've never even played a snap of live football. I think we talked about this one before. Jeffrey Carter is doubling up on fucking dumbness. So
double down on dumb.
Yes, exactly. So coaching absolutely matters. That's why you see teams. That's why you see John Fox gone.
He's so dumb.
That's why you see Mark Trestman launched after 2 years. Do the Bears have enough talent? No, they don't have enough talent. But you can still get more wins with the talent that they have right now with viable coaching. We've seen that. The Bears aren't a good team, but they were still in a lot of football games. Do you think Doug Peterson is throwing a challenge flag for the Eagles that's going to lose them the fucking possession of the football? Do you think that's going to happen? No, it's craziness. I mean, I think Jeffrey's trying to prove a point, and he's just not kind of opening up his eyes and accepting, other information that proves him wrong. I think he's just doubling down on bullshit, like I said. And coaching in the NFL absolutely 100% matters. And it's not just head coaching. Think about it. We have Helfrich, Nagy, and Dave Ragone coming from last year where we had John Fox, Dowell Loggins, and Dave Ragone. Yes, it's going to make a difference. We're a quarterback-centric, offensive coached team this year, and I think you'll see that come through in the product on the field. So does coaching matter? 100% it does.
Situational football prolongs drives. Whoever's at the helm making these decisions, clearly we're overwhelmed. We've discussed this. The stupidity that reeks off Jeff Carter makes you worried because, I don't know, it's a beautiful day in Jeff Carter's neighborhood, a beautiful day in his neighborhood.
You think John Fox is making those ballsy fourth down
Hell
plays
no.
and the Philly special in the Super Bowl? You think he's making those calls? No, you're looking at the New England Patriots being Super Bowl champs again, most likely.
The difference in
Absolutely.
in this football team and their record having coaching would be the difference in them competing for the playoffs.
You think John Fox believed in his quarterback? You think he believed in his young running back? No, he didn't believe in any of them. That's why he was so ridiculously conservative. He didn't believe in his players. You look at Doug Peterson. In crunch time, he's listening to it. Think about it. His backup quarterback comes in and said, let's run Philly. We want to run Philly. They run the Philly special, which shockingly enough, they stole from the Bears when we ran it in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But that's called having belief in your players. That shit spreads like wildfire. But we have this mundane asshole, John Fox, that also spreads like wildfire, where nobody believes in you. You're not inspired to play good football. You're not happy to go to work every day. That shit spreads like wildfire. It's crazy. Jeffrey Carter, the dumbest tweet of the week and one of the dumbest of the offseason so far.
You stupid.
No, not.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
You stupid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did we lose Shane? No, Shane's there.
When he was known as the smartest boy, the girls were a-hating. But now he's the smartest man. He's got them all masturbating. Hashtag maple syrup. He's the smartest man in the bar room.
Well done.
All right, you boys better buckle up for this one. Because this is a Bears barroom first. I'm serious. Strap in
breaking news.
Pull those seatbelts nice and tight. I don't want anybody passing out because for the best tweet of the week, we are going into window this week.
Sup, bitches?
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Bress.
Wow.
Someone please spell this word for me. Innuendo.
Is making an appearance.
Somebody
in
hack
the top
into his
tweet
account
of the week. Innuendo.
Innuendo.
Yes, this is gonna. I know we haven't gotten to our free agency talk yet tonight, but this is gonna kind of open up the door to it.
Innuendo.
And one of the hottest debates on Twitter so far, the last, really this off season, has been the Jarvis Landry debate. Is he worth the money? Is he too slow? Is he, I've heard he has problems in the locker room. he's not worth the money. Is he going to get $14 million? Well, I would only offer him $10 million or $9 million. Where did we hear all of this before? Well, Mike Brez sent out a tweet, and he said, this is kind of alluding to Jarvis Landry's speed. He said, has a 4.7 40 hurt Landry in his NFL career? We're not talking about a college prospect. We're talking about a Pro Bowl proven wide receiver. Anquan Bolden ran a 4.7 plus. How did he do?
Innuendo.
And that really is, this goes back to what I'm talking about with Jordan Howard and the people that are basing their prospects off their Madden speed. Phil, do you care that Jarvis Landry ran a 4.7 at the combine? Does that bother you?
No,
exactly.
I told the story.
Exactly.
I told the story of my love for him in a text to you.
Hello there. I'm the Love Doctor, and I'm here with some important love advice. Tip number 6. Let your sweetheart know how excited you are to be reunited after a long day at work. Wiggle, prance around, make lots of happy noises, but try to avoid knocking over the houseplant. Please, just trust me.
What is the most important thing that Jarvis Landry does, Phil?
He separates and catches.
He gets open and he catches the football. Exactly. And do we need that in Chicago?
We need in the window.
Right.
We need to get him open in the window.
He's going to give Mitch a window, right?
Exactly.
To throw into. So, yeah, I got to give Mike Brez some love here. That it's a perfect tweet, and it sums up my thoughts exactly. People are so caught up on sheer speed. Does it help? Yes, it absolutely helps. Was Johnny Knox one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL? Yes, he was. Did that make him Marvin Harrison? No, it didn't.
No.
You can be a slower.
Kevin White ran a 4.38.
Yeah, 4.35 even, I think, or 4.37. But you can be a slower wide receiver, and you could. Jerry Rice, what did he run? Was he in the 4.55 range? 4.6?
Right.
He ran a 4.65.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was 4.65, but apparently Gil Brandt timed him and said he ran a 4.5 or something. But
okay,
4.65.
But if you can get open,
what did Tom Waddle run? Steve Largent.
Exactly.
Hall of Famer Steve Largent.
What did Marty Booker run? He was no speed.
4.58 maybe.
Yeah, right around there. And I mean, there was some debate. I believe that he even showed up to the combine a little bit hurt, Jarvis Landry, so that hurt his time. Because I believe he was down in the 4.5 range at his pro day. But
they don't time well under pressure sometimes. The tape doesn't lie, Shane.
He's averaging over 100 receptions a year in the NFL, and the fucking guy is 24 years old. But there's Chicago Bears fans out there that don't want him. I think a lot of
remember me sending you the text, Shane?
Yeah, I do.
And you corrected Phil. He's only, I think it was a sophomore.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I love this guy. Like, there's an art to the route.
Yep.
When someone naturally has it, they can act and they can sell something that this corner thinks they know.
Guys, it's Valentine's Day, and you're still talking football 3 hours later?
Oh, my goodness, it's Bears Girl. She's here for her very special segment. Bears Girl, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Wow, that sounded sexy. I'm doing a lot better now.
3 hour tour.
I just woke up.
3 hour tour.
She must have tuned in for the second dumbest tweet of the week.
Can you believe?
You know it.
Can you believe that Mike Brez just won the tweet of the week, the positive tweet of the week?
Innuendo.
I think you guys got to send him some kind of award. I mean, we got to make up a Marsaw.
Yeah, we're gonna have our Marsaw show
in the window.
Yeah.
All right, so Bears Girl, I know you're here to ask the questions on this game that you developed for the Valentine's Day. honor of today. So why don't you explain a little bit how this works?
Let's be clear. We developed this game late last night after Bears Are Alive. I take no responsibility for this game whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I got 4 questions for you guys. I will ask the question. You will text Phil your answers, and he will share them with me so that I can decide which one of you said what. Easy?
Oh, easy peasy. Nice. And what does the winner of this game win?
Absolutely fucking nothing.
What? Did you say fucking?
No, I said absolutely fucking nothing.
Canada.
Okay, well we'll play for pride then. We'll play for bragging
Our
rights.
home away from home.
All right.
Phil takes every opportunity to sing, even butchering my national anthem.
I don't even know the lyric. All I know is "Oh Canada." Did I get the second part right or no?
No, not even close.
Our home and native land, right? Am I right?
Yes,
Oh,
you are.
Oh, he's living on the border, eh? He knows, eh?
I know what I'm talking about.
He's been to a Maple Leaf.
Don't be a hoser.
All right, so
Miss Montreal taught me.
Oh yeah.
But she would have taught you the French version.
S'il vous plaît.
She taught me a lot more than that.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
No.
It's the Beers Barroom Dating, Mating, Match Game, something or other. It doesn't matter what it's called. And this would have been a much funnier open to the segment if I didn't lose the one that Draft Dr. Phil put together for us. But anyway, we're going to play this unnamed game that nobody will be talking about, nobody will remember, but maybe you'll laugh once or twice. And now, let me introduce the host of the show, Draft Dr. Phil.
I'm the guy going. I'm totally lost.
You're supposed to introduce me so I can ask my questions. Yeah.
Great. I have no script, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. All right, let's go down to our contestant, our lady of the night. Not that there's anything wrong with that. BG, how you doing tonight, BG?
I am doing great, Draft Dr. Phil. I'm ready to play Celebrity Match with you fellas. You ready for my first question? Yeehaw! All right, guys. I want to know the answer to, what superpower would you love to have and why?
Now,
so you read the
I
answers,
answer
Phil?
for everybody?
Yeah,
you say Bachelor, you say contestant 1, contestant 2, contestant 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so Aldo will be 1, Shane will be 2, and I'll be 3. There you
No, no, that doesn't work.
Oh my God.
Oh, then you'll know.
You just gave her the answer.
I didn't give any answers yet.
No, but you told her what bachelor numbers we are, dumbass. That's the whole point. Bachelor number 2, also known as Shane, said.
Oh, I got you.
Pick
I gotta
the winner.
do it in the dating game room. Okay, I'll switch up the numbers.
Oh my God.
I didn't get the game. Now I get it.
Holy fuck.
I still
It's not even hard.
Oh my God.
All right.
Bachelor number 1 responds. Superpower would be invisibility. I can see draft prep and free agency plans. Bachelor number 2 says, freeze time. Help the Bears with their challenges. And Bachelor number 3, the ability to shut people up when they are talking too long.
All right. Well, those were really good answers. So, I think Bachelor number 1, with his invisibility, would be you, Phil. I think Bachelor number 2 with freezing time and helping the bears with their challenges would be Aldo. And I have to say that I think Bachelor number 3 wanting to shut people up is Shane.
All 3 were wrong.
Wow. All right.
So, invisibility was Shane.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Freeze time was Phil.
Damn, girl.
And shut people up, even though he's a producer and needs more material, is Aldo Gandia. Aldo. So you were off on all 3. All right, the next question.
All right. Well, that was a tough one. Let's go to question number 2. Which animal do you consider to be the sexiest?
Bachelor number 1 response. Horse, because I'm an ass man. Bachelor number 2. Chewbacca. And Bachelor number 3. Whatever animal can give me a reach around and not scratch my shaft.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what to do with those answers.
Oh,
These are 3 really eligible contestants for you, Bears Girl. The type of guys that you could not refuse to have a date with.
Yeah. So
Can we get a Chewy sound drop here?
Chewy coming up.
Star Wars. I think she's gonna get this one. That's my bet.
I have no clue, honestly. These answers have me completely thrown. Yeah.
Alright. Do you need the answers repeated in the order
No,
again, or no?
I've got them horse, Chewbacca, and whatever animal can reach around and not scratch my shaft. Is that correct?
You got it.
Sound
Welcome to the show, Adam Ho.
On this very special Valentine's Day episode of Bears Bar Room 100 Proof.
What kind of a question was that, by the way? Animal, the sexiest. Oh my gosh. It's like, what is that, bestiality that you're asking us to What animal would you like to fuck the most?
A tiger or a puma because they're sleek. Some people would say a giraffe because they have a beautiful long neck.
Mike Glennon?
You people are disgusting.
I would have to go back to my childhood and say a chicken.
He choked his chicken.
Choked? You're gonna go blind, son. You're gonna go blind.
So, horse because you're an ass man? I'm gonna go with Aldo. Chewbacca? That sounds like Shane. And whatever animal can reach around and not scratch my shaft, I'm gonna go with the draft, Dr. Phil.
So she got 1 ding and 2 X's. You got Shane correctly in Chewbacca. Aldo was the shaft man.
I got a boner.
And Phil is the ass man. On this very special Bears Barroom Valentine's Day show. Next question on the match game.
Well, I don't know how disgusting you could answer this question, but let's see what you've got. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Bachelor number 1. Ice cream, mint, chocolate chip. Bachelor number 2. Steak and whiskey. Bachelor number 3. Cookies and cream.
All right, BG. This should be easy.
Oh yeah, so easy. Wow. I'm gonna go with mint chocolate chip, being Phil, Steak and whiskey being Shane, and cookies and cream being Aldo.
Nah. Hey. Got them all wrong.
Thank God. I don't want to date with any of you.
Mint chocolate chip was none other than Shane, the Mailman Mars song.
There's a party in my pants and you're invited.
Cookies and cream was the Draft Doc.
Say hello to my little friend.
And the Barkeep, I thought it was going to be easy for see this one coming, was Steak and Whiskey flavored ice cream.
Yeah, it's the best.
I've never heard of this.
You never have? Oh.
No.
Look for
it's
it
a real thing.
Look for it at your neighborhood grocery.
Yeah. It makes you forget
Trade
about the big scratch on your shaft from your animal.
So far I'm learning, but I'll wait till the end of this segment to give my HR psychological response to these answers.
All right, so let's get on to question number 4.
Thank God this is almost over. If you could only watch one live Bears game for the rest of your life, who would it be against? And share where you would want the game to be held.
Bachelor number 1 answers Bears versus Packers in Hawaii. Bachelor number 2, Super Bowl LII in Atlanta versus head coach Nagy, Kansas City. I think Bears, Kansas City in the Super Bowl. And Bachelor number 3, Green Bay Packers for Chicago Bears. It's early September at Soldier Field.
All right. Packers and Bears in Hawaii. Sounds like Aldo. Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta against Kansas City. That sounds like you, Phil. Packers versus Bears at Soldier Field. I'm going to go with Shane.
You got one right.
Wow.
Aldo was the Packers in Hawaii. You were correct. Shane was Super Bowl.
Holy shit, dude.
And I'm surprised you didn't give it away because I was trying to understand what he was saying. And then
I said in the Super Bowl, it'd be the Nagy Bowl. His old team.
You're stupid.
I couldn't understand the short script. It says in Atlanta versus KC Nagy Bowl.
Yeah, because
see, that's why I thought it was you.
Now.
Super Bowl 53 is in Atlanta next year.
And then me was Packers Bears at Soldier Field in early September.
Hold on, there's a tie. We need a tiebreaker now.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Yeah.
She's got a tie. She got one of Shane and one of Aldo.
Oh my God, fine.
So Phil gets killed again.
Exactly.
There's no one dying. It's just a match game.
Phil's out. Yeah, I'm coming up with the question now. You ready? As I get kicked to the curb once again, Barflies. Let me ask BG the question, and the boys are going to hear the question. They're going to give me their answers. I'm going to share their answers as Bachelor 1 and 2. No one's going to know except them. And BG's going to select the one she'd like to go on a date with most.
No.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
No.
So, Bachelors, you're taking this young lady out on a date.
Oh, fuck.
You have $250 to your name. It's any city, anywhere is available in the United States of America. She's a foreigner. She doesn't know the cities. She doesn't know the bright lights and the big stage. Where are you bringing her, and what are you gonna do?
Jesus Christ.
Alright, so we gotta dial in our answers.
Just throw them in the dating room.
$250, take her on a date to any city in the United States. That's the question, right?
Right. That's
You
it.
know what's gonna happen here, right? Barflies from that fucking city are gonna be sliding into my DMs.
Like Trey McBride and Josh Bellamy.
Why do I agree to this shit with
Josh,
you?
if Josh slides into your DMs, can you get him on the show?
Sure. Oh my god.
This is gonna be funny. Alright. Are you ready, BG?
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Bachelor number 1. Canton, Ohio. Upcoming Hall of Fame game. Bears vs. Ravens. Bachelor number 2.
For $250, you cracked?
Bachelor number 2. Staying at my house. Party in my pants.
Yeah, so that's really hard for me to choose. They're both such
so tempting,
exciting opportunities. I mean, how does a girl pick? But I'm gonna have to decline the house and the pants and just head over to Canton and watch a football game.
Once again, he gets down on his knees and he asks, "Will you marry me again?"
At $250, we're not getting into the game, but there's a really good motel on the street.
BG, you won again. The hand of Gandia, the Godfather, the super producer, has won again. Your heart and affection. Do you have anything you want to say to Aldo?
Well, last time he wanted to die. Is that still how you're feeling tonight?
Come on, let's go to Canton, honey.
Can't wait.
Well, we could always stop at Shane's as a party.
I do get a drive through New York State to get there.
Ooh, there you go, Shane. Sounds like another
I'm in a New York state of mind.
Just leave your panties at the door.
or on his head. All right, Bears Girl, I want to just say a few words, given that I'm the winner of this game. And so, guys, just allow me 30 seconds or so to talk to Bears Girl. I want you to listen to me, Bears Girl, and repeat after me. Repeat these words. I want you, Aldo. A little louder. I want you, Aldo. Repeat after me. I can't wait to go to that cheap hotel in Canton.
It almost worked, Aldo.
BG, this is the best you've ever sounded.
BG, repeat after me. You want Aldo.
All right, Aldo. I will go with you to Canton on 2 conditions. 1, Nikki drives, and 2, you can get me to Mr. Whiskey.
Oh my God, we're gonna have 3 funerals. Nikki's driving. I'm going to be, my party in my pants is going to be a party of one if all you guys die. Jesus Christ.
Well, and if we do make it, it's going to be a threesome. Trubisky, me, and Bears Girl.
I will watch you in the window.
From heaven. Oh, all right. That was fun. Thanks very much, Bears Girl, for playing along. You are, as always, a very, very good sport. All right.
You're very welcome.
Bear up, bear down, draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. They're watching the tape and weighing. The game is done. The Bears have lost or won this play.
We are going to play our special version of Bears Up, Bear Down this week. I've asked Shane and Draft Dr. Phil, and I hope Bears Girl sticks around so that she can add sound effects to these selections. But I asked Shane and Phil to select 3 players they would like to see Ryan Pace target during free agency, and 3 players they definitely do not have any interest in playing for the Bears, and so therefore Ryan Pace just scratched them off the possible list of free agent acquisitions. So, I'm going to spin the bottle here and see who goes first. And Shane's winning streak continues.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't you have to kiss him now?
I have to kiss him?
No. You just spun the bottle. Come on, guys.
We're not playing that kind of spin the bottle.
But don't you worry.
Don't you worry, Bears fans.
All right, Shane. So why don't we go with the one player that you would definitely like the Bears to pursue?
Well, I just alluded to him in Mike Brez's tweet, top tweet of the week, and it's Jarvis Landry is my top guy that I want to see them go after on the offensive side of the football. He's not flashy. He's going to be Mr. Consistent. He's a consistent ball catcher like Dustin.
That's mean.
Right? But, he's got that. He's going to fit that profile that Ryan Pace, he wants to bring in guys that are young and still ascending and guys that are going to be able to grow with Mitch. You're talking about a 24-year-old guy that, like I said, is averaging over 100 receptions a year for the past 4 years, and I believe his arrow is still pointing up. Has he been surrounded with all the best talent in the world in Miami? They've had inconsistencies at quarterback there. They've had to reshuffle the offensive line. Jay Ajayi is the classic hot and cold running back. He's either getting you 200 yards or he's getting you 34 yards, and then they finally shipped him out of town. So as weird as this sounds, I think you would actually get some more consistency in Chicago, and the 4.7 speed doesn't bother me a bit. If you can create separation, like Phil said, run crisp routes and get open and catch the football, I'm going to put you up at the top of my list. I mean, if he ends up getting tagged, it is what it is. I have another guy there. So, yeah, Jarvis Landry is my top guy.
Bears Girl, you approve?
I agree. We talked about it last night on Bears Are Live.
Oh, wow.
Look at her throwing back, promoting. I love it.
Yeah, well done. All right,
she's learning the game.
You lost twice, so I got to get back in your good graces.
Damn.
Listen, you're my partner in crime. We're not going to be married. I'm like your big brother.
Well, little brother, but sure.
Yeah.
I am taller than her, so.
Not in heels.
If I wear Nikki's freaking, what were those shoes? Shane?
Platform.
The platform shoes. Shane sent Nikki, I'll be taller.
Oh yeah, with the 8-inch platforms on it.
Robert De Niro's
8-inch platforms, and now he's 5'6". Poor bastard.
All right, Phil, who you got?
My number one target as far as receiver goes, Shane is crossing him off the board because I'm right there with him. I've had a attraction to this football player for a long time because of what he can do with the route and how he catches the football and attacks it. So
Hey there, I'm the Love Doctor, back with some essential love advice. Tip number 2, show you are really paying attention to your sweetie by tilting your head. You will demonstrate you are totally listening and not focus on the squirrel taunting you in the backyard.
I'm going to go to my number 2 guy. Really, I think should be the priority. Landry and this guy should be the priority signing on opening night. If you got to send Lovie Smith to go there and recruit him, Matt Nagy at the door, Vic Fangio. I think my number 1 target would be Ziggy Ansah of the Detroit Lions. You got to get somebody on the opposite side. Again, continuing on this path with Shane, young, ascending football player. I loved Ansah coming out. There was a lot of Twitter GMs on both sides of the board. I remember having a specific argument on Twitter with none other than Barroom, Shane Marsal's favorite. My God, I just lost his name. Evan Silva, who's telling me that Ziggy Ansah is not going to be able to be a professional pass rusher, that he just can't see it. He's too raw. And when you see talent, you see talent. Ziggy Ansah, I think, would be the perfect fit in a Vic Fangio scheme, too. And sometimes scheme, when you're playing a 4-3 front versus a 3-4 front, and you need this kind of freakish talent, this is a fit. And he's more physical. He's very aware. He plays hurt. I just like the football player. I just believe in the fit. And getting an opposite young football player in that pass rush at the outside linebacker, which is, to me, the number 1 need on this football team. Right there, I'm going with Ziggy Ansah.
Shane, who is your second free agent choice to target?
Okay, this is a guy, and I'm going to stay on the offensive side of the football. This is a guy that has dealt with some injuries, but I still think that there's some upside there, and he really, you saw him, and I know I hate talking about this team, and I seem to default to him all the time. It's Philadelphia Eagles, Trey Burton. I love the versatility that this guy brings, and he's not exactly what Adam Shaheen is, because this guy can actually split out and actually run wide receiver routes. I mean, he's going to open up a lot of things. You know, Phil alluded, if you can hit that tight end down the seam, how it's going to help out Jordan Howard and how it's going to open up everything. And Trey Burton is a 26-year-old guy that really is playing second and third fiddle in Philadelphia to Zach Ertz, and, you know, really hasn't been a focal point. And I think he's going to be a perfect complement to Adam Shaheen, who still love where he's headed. Is he there yet? No, he's not. I think a lot of these tight ends that come into the league, it ends up being year 2, they make a jump, and they're really going to be where they should be in maybe year 3 and year 4. But Trey Burton's versatility, you add him in with a guy like Cohen, another guy like Jarvis Landry that can get open and make plays, him stretching that seam, it's gonna really open up a lot of options, and it's gonna make Mitch Trubisky's life a whole bunch easier. So he's a name that maybe not a lot of fans know. He's kind of I don't really want to call him an under-the-radar guy because this team just played in the Super Bowl. But he's a guy that I would love to see how Nagy could deploy him in almost like a Travis Kelce role in Chicago along with Adam Shaheen. 2 upside guys at tight end I think would be a huge plus for the Bears moving forward.
And the Eagles are well over the salary cap, so they're going to have problems signing their own free agents. So Burton could definitely hit the free market. I love that choice. Phil, what are your thoughts?
Well, Shane took another guy off my board, so we're like batting 1,000 here together.
You guys are like a Valentine's Day night date, man.
Yeah.
On the same vibe.
Vibing it up. So, Trey Burton, though, is exactly what Shane said, and also he could line up in the backfield and give you an actual fullback look, something that Jordan Howard also was neglected on, obviously with the worst football player at the position I've ever seen. But, I'm going to skip. I love what Trey Burton could bring to the Bears with Nagy's, but I'm going to go to the other side of the football, and I'm going to circle a guy. When you look at this defense, I am so excited about Roy Robinson Harris and what he can do at 6'5", 295 pounds, the way he moves. Just giving him more reps, giving him another season under his belt. I'm excited about it, but I just don't think you sit idly there. I think you go out and try to get the best and help what you are building, and that is a tremendous front seven. And I would go heavy again on opening night and get this football player, Sheldon Richardson, who's now with the Seahawks. This is a guy that could play multitude of defenses. He's just a quick twitch, physical presence up there. He can play a 3 technique, but you put him at opposite of Akeem Hicks in that 5 tech, and and Goldman and him are moving unilaterally together. You just have no idea where the line of scrimmage could start and how that will affect your pass rush. And he is an instinctive rusher for a big guy. I really like his game. I know there was some mental health stuff and all these other things and medicating and right. But, he got to get out of the Jets. I don't know who's at fault there. I don't know enough of that. But I do know what he put out on tape and how he played down the stretch with the Seahawks. And he's somebody I feel as though would fit in this system of what it is you need from that 5 tech, opposite of who I thought got screwed over, obviously, in the Pro Bowl, in Akeem Hicks. It's just going to make your whole defensive front, including those inside backers, better and be able to flow better, because offenses are going to have to account to block him, Goldman, and Hicks. So build off your strengths and then have a rotation on top of it. I think it's a giant leap upgrade to Mitch Unrein and what you had there, and that's what I would do. Sheldon Richardson.
All right, Shane, back to you. Who do you got as your third player you want to acquire?
No, this is going to really be probably for the non-degenerates and under-the-radar guy. It's on the opposite side of the ball. I'm going to jump over to the defense here. It's somebody that our defensive coordinator is familiar with, and I want to grab Aaron Lynch from the San Francisco 49ers. He's a young guy. He was a guy that I had earmarked for the Bears to take a run at in the draft. I loved the upside. I believe he was coming out of South Florida at the time. He's still only 24 years old, but we've seen Mitch Unrein, who had his season cut short with injuries. Akeem Hicks. Phil brought up a guy like Roy Robertson Harris. It still has the upside there, but I still think we need another guy that you can kind of put on the outside there that's going to bring you some versatility. And he's early on in his career, he was giving you about 6 to 6.5 sacks, and he tailed off just a little bit. So I don't know, maybe a change of scenery might do him some well. I know San Francisco, unfortunately, has a ton of money under the cap, so it's not going to be real hard for them to bring back a guy like Lynch if they want him. But in free agency, there's so many minefields out there when you're talking about, like I'm a fan of Ziggy Ansah, like Phil said, but there's still a lot of risk there. And I mean, you see a lot of that in free agency. A guy with Lynch, I don't think he's going to break the bank. He's going to get a decent contract, but there's still so much upside there that I think you can kind of get a good return on your investment and not have to break the bank. So if you can get some pass rush on the outside from a guy that's still really ascending as a player, I think that's just going to do nothing but benefit us. And like I said, Vic Fangio is familiar with him, so maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I'm not sure what Vic's outlook on Aaron Lynch is, so maybe he wants to shy away from the player. But I'm a fan, and that would be a guy that I would target to bring in and get in on our defense. Just a guy that can grow with the rest of these budding young players on our defense.
All right, Aaron Lynch is off the board. And, Phil, if you tell me you had Aaron Lynch on your list, too, I'm going to really wonder about the two of you.
What?
No, I do have him on my list, but I wasn't going to bring him up. I have him on my list of free agent targets.
Okay.
But I'll be truthful that he wasn't in my top 3 rotation tonight.
Very good. And so who is number 3?
When I look at this roster, and a lot of this roster is injured, coming off. So if you're looking at the position that you need, obviously is receiver. So in this case, I'm looking at, a wide receiver. If you're not going to land Jarvis Landry, I'm looking at, Allen Robinson of the Jacksonville Jaguars, somebody that's going to give you, I know he's coming off an injury, but this is a very good football player who I loved coming out of college. Just a high point ball catcher who's going to get the football and attack it. He's going to give you that bigger body with downfield speed. And we know how these ACL injuries are. Players come off of them, and your doctors are going to have to do your homework. But just assessing this team and what it's needing, and you coming back with Cam Meredith, I know what Cam Meredith is. You got Kevin White, I don't know what he is. And then you have a whole mess of question marks. You got to attack the wide receiver position, and this guy and Sammy Watkins and others on the list, and Terrell Pryor, those 4 guys, Landry number 1, then I'm coming back if I can't land him, and I'm going after Robinson, and then Terrell Pryor and Watkins. Those guys you're gonna have to land one playmaker, and you're gonna have to pay to play. That's how it is, and you gotta help Mitchell Trubisky get targets that are going to be suction cups to the football, that want to make plays. I can't remember having a receiver until Brandon Marshall that you knew wanted the freaking football every play. Give it to me. I'm going to make the play. There's guys that want it, and there's guys that want it and get it, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Guys that talk a big game, when the critical moment, they fail. Say what you want about Marshall, all his head cases. There was a time there you recognized the talent was unbelievable, and he would step up in the big moment and make the play. That's what we're missing here in my eyes, and I think Robinson is everything's a risk, just like Shane said, but if I'm assessing them, I think it's a risk worth taking.
Very good. All right, now we move on to 3 players that we do not want Ryan Pace to target. Shane, we begin with you.
Yeah, and we're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball here, and this position in free agency is littered with landmines. We talked about this last year, and we're going to talk about it again this year, and we saw this player was supposed to play in the Super Bowl. He never made it onto the field, and that's Malcolm Butler. Never been a big Malcolm Butler guy. He's, he living off a lot of that play against Russell Wilson. He's not the biggest guy. He can make some plays, and I've never watched him and thought that he was one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, and that's that's exactly how he's going to get paid. And he's just the guy that I'm not a fan of overall. Cornerback is such a slippery slope in free agency, and that's, not to give away anything, but that's what makes it so important to bring back a known commodity that you're familiar with Kyle Fuller. That's what makes him so important to bring back. You're going out to bring a guy in. We saw Stephon Gilmore, the Bears made a play for him, and as good as he looked shutting down Alshon in the second half of the Super Bowl, he also got benched this year, during the season. And for the amount of money he's making, it's crazy how slippery the slope is at cornerback in the UFA market. And I've never been a big Malcolm Butler fan. He's, I believe, 27, going to be 28 years old, smaller cornerback, and that's nobody that I would get excited. I would really expect him to just be added to the long line of busted free agent players that sign for big money deals that never live up to that. So Malcolm Butler is a do not sign for me.
Yeah, I'm actually predicting that he's not going to get that big contract. He might get like one of those 1-year prove-it deals, and not at the type of money that Prince Amukamara got with the Bears. I think Prince got $7 million. So I don't know. Because I agree totally with your assessment of him as a football player. So I just wonder if the market will be kind to Malcolm Butler. We move on.
I look at this, and the temptations are there with this football player because, there's no questioning his talent. But to me, I just think something is off. And I'm talking about tight end Jimmy Graham. And I know a lot of people look at him and see the big plays that he had with the Saints and some big plays with the Seahawks. But for me, there's just something. I don't know if he's hit the age point. I don't know if he's hitting that point where he's made enough money and doesn't want to do it, and he's not competitive or whatever it is. To me, he's a big, giant red flag, buyer beware. And I think you have a young ascending talent that, we talked about the tight end position taking a little while to grow into in Adam Shaheen. I just don't think the merit and the money warrants a Jimmy Graham. I would just stay away from that football player.
Totally with you. I think that the punishment that big body has received over the years is starting to catch up with him a little bit. All right, back to Shane-O. Who you got?
Well, since Phil stole my tight end that I was going to bring up next, you bastard, and I do totally agree with what Phil said. I think I would have phrased it the same exact way. Just something feels off there, but you guys know me and my gut feeling. I just have this weird feeling that he's going to be a guy that Ryan Pace goes after in free agency.
Exactly. So do I.
Yeah, and he's 31 years old.
Do.
I think he looks at it like maybe he's less injured version of Zach Miller. He's a guy that can, really help Shaheen along maybe and show him, exactly what they want to see from him. I don't know. That's just my gut feeling is that you see Jimmy Graham be a Bear, and I'm very, very skeptical of that. And that was actually debating on putting him number one over Malcolm Butler. But yeah, I'm totally on board with what Phil said there. But my next guy is a guy that Phil brought up with his wide receivers, and it's Sammy Watkins. I just don't want – to me, I don't think there's a chance in hell he gets out of L.A. They invested a second-round draft pick. I don't think that they're going to invest a second-round draft pick in trading for him and only keep him around for 16 games. I think they're going to try everything they can do to sign him to a deal and try to keep him there because he is still so young. But you see all of this long injury history and with foot problems and ankle issues. And when you're that young and you're having all those issues with the most important part of your body when you're a wide receiver is your feet, I don't like that, where that is headed. And he's really been a complete, really a disappointment since he was drafted. He broke out a little bit in Buffalo, but then, I mean, they ushered him off, really, like I said, for a second-round draft pick. And to me, it's a huge, huge, huge gamble that you're just really taking a stab in the dark. I mean, you saw how much the Rams improved this year, and it didn't really include Sammy Watkins all that much. I'm not even sure if did he even have 400 yards receiving this year? I think it was actually under that. And for him to cash in as a UFA and get big money where he would expect to be the savior in Chicago without the proven track record of a Jarvis Landry or even, like Phil said, of an Allen Robinson, I think there's way too much pressure there. I think he's a soft player. I don't think he likes to play through any type of an owie, as John Fox used to like to say. And I would be pretty disappointed if that was Ryan Pace's number one answer to the wide receiver position, because it just adds to the question marks that you have in Kevin White. Cam Meredith, yes, everybody expects him to bounce back, but to add another big money, high risk, I think it's a recipe for disaster.
39 catches last year on 70 targets. He did have 8 touchdown receptions on those 39 catches. That's an excellent ratio. But I am totally with you. Totally with you. Please do not go after Sammy Watkins. Phil, who do you got?
I'm going to go on the other side of the football, and I see it on my timeline a lot about this player, and I just don't see what other people see in staying in the same team as Sammy Watkins. That's corner Tremaine Johnson. Just not a big fan of that. I'm totally on board with the mailman in regards to keeping continuity, especially in the defensive back and cornerback position, knowing a known commodity and a known fit. I think Shane has gone on the show and really broken down the percentage of corners moving teams, and we've witnessed it in Chicago. I remember Thomas Smith, Tom Carter. We've gone out and signed these corners that ended up getting benched for undrafted guys. You got Cooper here as well now, and I'm not giving up on the guy, but to me, going out there spending big money on Tremaine Johnson versus a Prince Amukamara that fit, and Kyle Fuller that clearly fits, those two corners, I think Tremaine's going to ask a lot of money, and I just don't see it and would not risk the kind of investment in that football player.
Phil, because I want to end up with Shane, because then I have a follow-up question for him, I'd like you to share with us your third do not pursue player.
Well, this is fullback in Chicago, Mike Burton. I would not even think about bringing him back.
I do love the way that he does those pirouettes. I mean, that kind of blocking. I've never seen that in the NFL before. Never.
I'll give you a third. You know, I love this player coming out of college. I was hoping we were going to get him, and then the Packers swooped up in front of us, and we ended up getting Major Wright. And I know Shane knows what I'm talking about because I love this football player, but I think we're set at safety, and I just seen this happen where my timeline and Twitter GMs talk about Morgan Burnett coming over from Green Bay to Chicago and get him in here. I just, no. I would totally stay away from that.
Yeah.
think you got what you have. I think Demps comes back and becomes that rotational guy. Completely stay away from Morgan Burnett. And this is a Morgan Burnett fan here. So that was my last one.
Excellent. All right, Shane, who is your last player?
Yeah, my last one, I'm going to go back over on the offensive side of the ball, and this is a quarterback that I see a lot of people have been connecting to Chicago, and that's Chase Daniel. Never been a fan, been in the league since 2009. The kid has pocketed around $25 million and has thrown one touchdown pass in 9 seasons in the NFL. And yes, I know he's probably familiar with what Nagy is doing, but to bring him here, to pay him, $6 or $7 or $8 million to be the backup, I don't want to see Ryan Pace do that just for him to be a coach. And not that I'm comfortable with Mark Sanchez, but I think I might be more comfortable with Mark Sanchez than I am with Chase Daniel, especially for the pay increase that he is going to get over top of a Mark Sanchez. I mean, if they can move around and get a late round pick and see a high upside quarterback that they like some of the traits that he has, I really have no issue with them drafting a guy late to groom, because like we've all seen it time and time again where it can pay off for you. But me myself, I've never been a Daniels fan. I don't think anybody has had a better job in the NFL over the past almost 10 years. Like I said, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
1 touchdown.
And he's just making all of that money, and it's not a fan whatsoever. He's going to sign for a decent-sized contract because all backup quarterbacks do. And after the Mike Glennon experience, I'm honestly, I can't sit here and say with a clear conscience that Chase Daniel is a upgrade on the field over Mark Sanchez. And when Sanchez is signing for $2 million and $1 million of it is guaranteed, to me, I feel more comfortable with that than sinking a bunch of money into a guy that's really, like I said, 9 years in the league and is still completely unproven. So I would have Chase Daniel on my list of guys to stay away from.
Shane, when can Mike Glennon be cut, and will he be cut as soon as he can?
Oh, yeah. He's there's zero shot. I mean, he's I can look it up real quick he's got the league year starts.
When's
14th.
The first day? The 14th?
Yep, and that's at 4 p.m. East.
Does he have any?
Yeah, he's got
what do they call it?
Buyout
clauses.
He's got a buyout.
He doesn't have it's not a buyout because they're not.
Is there a bonus or something?
Yeah, he's due 2018 roster bonus to be paid on March 16th, and it's $2.5 million, but that contains offsets. So if the Bears release him, the Bears, and it's after the 16th, they're on the hook for that. But if another team signed him, say if they signed him for $2 million, they would assume $2 million of that offset, and the Bears would only assume $500,000 of it.
Come on, Green Bay. All right. Before we call it a night, Shane, I want to get your thoughts. Last night on Bears Hour Live with Draft Dr. Phil and moderated by a Bears girl, Phil gave us 3 free agents that he would like the Bears to retain. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, number one is clearly Kyle Fuller. I mean, it's far and away. The Ryan Pace made the correct call. I don't care what anybody says, not picking up the 5th-year option, just because he was such an unknown. We didn't even know if he had the right mental state to even be a player that stayed in the NFL. I mean, there was really that many questions. We didn't know if he lost his passion for football. So that fifth-year option was declined, and it's coming back to kind of bite the Bears in the ass in true Chicago Bears fashion. But
That's mean.
25-year-old guy, and we all know what happened with Alshon and the issues there. But when Kyle Fuller went into his contract year, he went out and he balled out. You know what I mean? He made plays. He dropped his head and blew guys up. He wasn't playing for Kyle Fuller. He was playing for the betterment of the team. Yes, he was trying to resurrect his career, and he did that. We saw that with Alshon Jeffrey, who had the one-year contracts 3 years in a row, and his touchdowns went up this year on a better offense in Philadelphia. He ended up getting the long-term contract, but he didn't put up those eye-popping numbers that it was just a foregone conclusion that, holy shit, this guy, you gotta get him no matter what. Let's not forget, he was on the open market for anybody in the NFL this past year, and he still signed a one-year contract. Ended up, getting the extension in Philadelphia. But to me, easily, Kyle Fuller is number one on the list. I think he's a favorite of Vic Fangio.
Yep.
And I think that counts for a lot. They both they both have a love for golf and both spent a lot of time with each other last off season. So I think that counts for a lot. I think Kyle likes the known factor of having Vic there moving forward. I think that means a lot to him, and he comes in on an ascending young defense, and I think this is the year that maybe he's not the loud, boisterous type, but I think he's the contract that he gets, it's really gonna put him in a leadership role on that defense, and he's a guy that has been on the team now for a while, and you really can see guys start to grow from that, with the added responsibility, and confidence counts for a lot. I think Kyle Fuller, more than anything, got his swag back this year. He built his confidence up, and to me, he's the safest bet at cornerback in the UFA market, and we have him here. We know all the ins and outs of him, and he should clearly be the number one choice.
If they can't sign him, do you tag him?
Oh yes, you have to. And I don't think I just want to
make sure we're on the same page still.
Yeah, and I don't think that's really a bad decision because, let's be honest, he went out there and he proved it this year. Does he have it in him again? I mean, yes, you're covering your bases. You're buying yourself some more time to work out a long-term deal. But, like with Alshon, does that offend him? And that's going to be something definitely worth watching.
Now, Phil had Prince Amukamara as his second choice. Do you have the same guy?
Even over top of Prince, I would have Christian Jones up there.
Ooh, that was his third. Interesting.
Yep, and I did not hear this portion of BHL last night, but Phil knows my thoughts on Christian Jones.
You're not a freaking friend. You're not a good friend.
He knows my thoughts on Christian Jones coming out of the draft. I was texting Phil every other pick. We got to pick this kid. We got to pick this kid. How many times tonight have we talked about versatility? He's that, times 10. He's bounced around everywhere, and he did the same type of thing in college. I mean, he even played some fullback at Florida State, believe it or not. And I don't think you can have enough of those guys, and he's still young enough where I think there's still quite a bit of upside there. And, if a guy goes down, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife type that can jump into really any spot. He can provide you some pass rush on the outside. He can. I don't feel real comfortable with him calling the plays in the middle of the defense. We've seen that with Christian where he's really kind of limited in that role and may not get all the right calls in. But I still think that there is enough there because his versatility in college really kind of hurt him because he's never been left in one spot. And I think he's comfortable in Chicago. He's really found a home here. And I think he's one of those guys that's a very, very important under the radar piece that every defense needs because he can fill so many spots.
He's going to have a market, Aldo.
Yeah, he is.
What I was told.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
going to have a market. The Bears are going to have to be aggressive with their pieces, and hopefully those players are buying into it.
You know, there are some outside the team free agent needs, but there are some of their own players that they really, really need to bring back, and you guys have highlighted, 5 of them so far? So, Shane, give us your third player.
Before he does, I don't want to spoil it, but do you think David Kaplan thinks Christian Jones is important?
He probably doesn't know who Christian Jones is.
That's what I'm trying to say here. Like,
the third baseman?
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. My third guy is, and my guess is that if he wasn't in Phil's top 3, that he was probably number 4, 5 at the absolute worst. And to me, it's Kendall Wright. To me, Kendall Wright is a simple. Is that good or bad? It's
good because that was my.
Okay, it's a simple re-sign. You saw him build some of that chemistry with Mitch, especially on third down. Everybody remembers that play in Baltimore where Mitch stepped up and Kendall Wright went high and got the ball and secured it. And I really think that there's still upside with him there. I mean, you get some better talent. You talk about bringing in a guy like a Jarvis Landry. He's going to fit in with a guy like Kendall Wright. And just those two in themselves, Phil, they're going to create mismatches with the way that they can run their routes. And that's only going to help out our young quarterback. It's gonna help out our tight ends. It's gonna help out, like I said, the entire offense. So to me, yeah, easily. And I know a lot of people don't think Kendall Wright should be that high on the list, but
he was number 2 on my list, Shane.
Yep,
or number 3. Sorry, Aldo. He's number 3, but Aldo asked me to pick another, and that's where Christian Jones came in.
Yep, and yeah, to me, he had his struggles. I think he fell out of favor with this offensive staff a little bit because you saw him really not used. And I mean, to me, that's really a positive for him because
Exactly.
they were so inept that just shows you that he's a quality football player.
11 catches.
Yep.
Then next week, he doesn't get targeted.
And Phil, you remember a month or maybe a month and a half ago, I sent you that text message comparing the 2 wide receivers. And Phil's like, thinking about it. And I didn't give him a name. I just gave him stats every single game this year, like a game log for 2 separate wide receivers. And they couldn't guess both of them. And the numbers, looking at them, I didn't give them the touchdowns because there was a big difference there. But the receptions and yards per game, and it was Kendall Wright versus Alshon Jeffrey. And people had difficulty picking out who they were. And you would never think that there's a comparison there. But, Phil, there absolutely was. Am I correct?
No, the numbers were so close. And if you can't see, I wonder if I could dig up the...
Yeah, and
on my phone, but it is.
You can never have enough guys inside that can create those mismatches. And as small as he is, he's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid to go across the middle. He's a guy that's going to go up and make that big catch, like I said he did in Baltimore on that third down. That was one of the biggest completions that we saw Mitch make all year long. I mean, he bought time in the pocket. He stepped up and he put the ball where only Kendall Wright could catch it, and he went up and got it. And to me, he's a priority guy that you bring back because, end of the day, how many times have we said talent breeds success, and he's part of that equation. He's only going to help the wide receiver room, and he deserves to be back.
And there's nothing more important to a quarterback than trust in that relationship. And you could see that Mitch trusts this player to be to where and there's a great shot. I think it's against Detroit, and the Bears are getting beat, and they're trying to get something going. And Mitchell, and I put up some things of it, but he just anticipates where Wright is going to be. And sure enough, Wright had a big third down. Wright's doing the speed out cut. And Shane, I said this on. It's funny that you brought him up because I said the same thing, and I said this football player surprised me because I wasn't expecting him to be as polished as he was. He just continued to get better in the route tree and the stem and being an actor. Everything I was talking about with Landry, you have Kendall Wright here growing. When you have a coach that understands personnel, understands play calling and feel, I think Kendall Wright to me is one of those beyond a fabric player. I think you're hitting it on the head. He's somebody that needs to be a priority.
And Phil, how many times have we talked about, and I know you and I have had this conversation privately, is a lot of people don't want to admit it, but overall in the NFL, the number one wide receiver thing is a bit of a myth. Mm-hmm. You see it in Philly. You can say that it's Alshon, but everybody knows that really Alshon's the number 2. You see it in New England. You go out and you sign guys like Jarvis Landry, like Kendall Wright, that bring you that versatility, a bunch of guys that can do a bunch of different things. That's only going to be a benefit to your offense. I mean, if you go out and sign 2 or 3 number 2s, or is it better to go out and sign one number 1? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're building the depth. And I mean, I'm going to throw Inman in here. I bring him back too.
Right.
And
said the same thing last night.
You got to bring in, you saw him building a rapport with Mitch. And I think, let's not take for granted that these teams are gamblers, and Ryan Pace put that in the trade that he had to have 25 receptions for a reason. Well, I mean, Inman goes out there and he has a big game, and then we don't see the fucking guy for a couple of weeks. It's probably because they wanted to get him off pace for getting those 25 receptions so they didn't have to give up the draft capital. Yes, it was only a 7th rounder, but still, 7th rounders still matter in the draft game. So the Bears reacquire that pick.
Find our kicker there.
Yeah, that's Phil. That's an underrated question that I have yet to see anybody talk about on this team, and that's our kicker competition, where that's going, and
Punter's a free agent.
Mega Punt is a free agent. Are you willing to invest money into to bringing him back?
Hell no.
Is he worth it?
No.
I think there's legitimate questions there. I think Cairo Santos is going to be brought back. I do. Just because I think they're going to take, they can give him another 1-year deal and see if he is healthy, but it can't end there. As much as I love Alabama, Phil, that are they going to go out and draft another punter? Probably not. But if they could get Jake Scott from Alabama, that kid, as much as a punter can be a game changer, that's him. And he's a guy.
He's it inside the 10.
He's a guy that's in the draft this year. And when you're talking about a young team, field
Aldo
position is everything.
At the Senior Bowl, Aldo.
It's my buddy.
It's your boy.
He introduced him as Will Hernandez. No,
Let's talk about Shane's roots.
Roots, yeah. What was that about?
I say route.
I say routes too. He says roots. I never heard that before.
Roots.
Yeah. No, I think I knew I said that wrong because after I said it, I'm like, wow, that
twice.
Yeah.
K.
Came out weird. K. Yeah, I did. I felt weird with that coming out. Not gonna lie.
Do we mark that down?
Fuckers keep me up all night. Jeez.
Someone picked the ginger root.
Yeah, the ginger root.
Zach Zaidman left.
Let me tell people that these important dates are coming up. February 20th is the first day that the Bears can use the franchise or transition tag on a player. And then for free agency purposes, the deadline for teams to use that franchise or transition tag is March 6th. And then the 12th and 14th of March is when teams can negotiate with pending free agents of other teams. And then it's March 14th where that free agency trading period and the league year begin. So that's going to be frenzy time, and we are going to be here with Bears Hour Live, with special cut-ins if necessary, with Bears 100 Proof, Buffon 55, Bears on Tap. We're going to have more Bears podcast programming for you than any other website or delivery system, and we might have even some more surprises. We're talking about some other shows that might be possibly down the pipeline, and if that happens, you can hear it here first, or just head over to bearsballroom.com where you can find all of the news. I want to bring Bears Girl back. Are you still up?
I am. And we have 27 minutes to Valentine's Day. I mean, can we just make the show go that long?
No.
The mail must be delivered. Bears
That's
Girl,
right.
Please start us off with some shout-outs.
All right, so I learned from the best. That's you, Phil. I've got a list, and hopefully I don't take them all from you. But we've had some barflies sending me some love with regards to my new role hosting with you on Bears Hour Live. So, shout outs to Dubai Mark, the James Ford, Air Jer, Father Crime, the Gaines Report, Sandy Tom, Bears Lover 1885, Chi-Town Buster for my movie poster, Ryan D'Onofrio, I'm hopefully back in your good graces, and a barfly I don't know well, Michael Kev.
Excellent. Boy, you went.
Good stuff. I'm impressed.
All right.
She came prepared.
Shane is rolling his eyes so loudly I can hear them.
Well, it was a one-night stand.
Hold on a second. We're going to listen to Shane's shout-outs right now.
And there they are. Thanks, everybody.
Phil, give us a shout out.
How y'all doing?
Who do you got, Phil?
I gotta shout out Lou Hemp at Lou Hempman, Lou Hempman, Big Barfly, Sandy Tom, as she said. I want to shout out Frankie Myers, Chachi, only because I messed up on him. I meant the George U. Sorry, Frankie. I apologize. I want to shout out Captain Crunch, other known as Chris Armstrong. Julius at Little Moose. Kieran has been bringing it for the bar room, standing up for Jordan Howard. Oh my God. Trubisky G. Trubisky Go. Heidi Zimmerman. I want to wish you a happy Valentine's Day. If Aldo could put on some sexy music right now, it would have been perfect. I want to wish her a happy... I want to shout out my boy and congratulate him. Two guys I want to congratulate. Both of you are my boys. Like, I just appreciate good people. And it's so good to see good people get things that they should get. And first, it's Ryan Heckman that's taken over as an editor over there at the Windy City FS.
Congratulations, Ryan.
You can smack up our boy Dusty, the thong-wearing writer, blogger over there on your site, Ryan. Congratulations over there. And our boy Nelson Daniels. He's getting a podcast. He's going to be doing some things. I think the world of Nelson. And I just want to congratulate him. I also want to shout out Jeff Carter. I want to shout. Thank you for bringing a lot of humor into my life this week, Chef.
Do you want to shout out Driscola for this open mic night in the chat room on BHL?
Oh, Driscola. I gotta tell you, Driscola, Shane doesn't like your roots.
Hey, I say roots too, just so we're clear.
Oh,
Not routes, it's roots.
Party in the pants.
Can you see me, Aldo, up at the chalkboard? Listen, you're gonna run your route, and you're gonna run it right.
Maybe
shout out Trey Busy. We didn't get the steak and whiskey this week, so I know I'm going to be hearing it from some of the fans.
Yeah, he's out buying ice cream now. Steak and whiskey ice cream.
Yeah. New flavor, Ben and Jerry's. And last shout out is Eric A. Stickler. At Eric_Stickler. Always bringing the barroom vibe and bringing us to the top. And shout out Little Nicky. How about that, Aldo? One of our own, stepping up.
It's big time.
Stepping up.
Big time. Little Nicky and I are getting together for lunch in a couple of weeks. And
oh, yeah.
You better pick him up. Don't let him drive there.
That's hilarious. All right.
Jer has offered to Uber him there. So, Jer can pick him up.
I got a shout out. I want to...
Wally Hussein?
Hey, Wally's a good guy. He and I DM'd and we talked about the fact that he's a neonatologist and saving little babies' lives. He doesn't know shit about football, but he's a good doctor. I have a shout out to the wives of Shane Marsaw and Draft Dr. Flirtation. I want to thank them for giving us you two guys for all the free time, or not the free time, all the time that you invest into the show. It comes at their expense and your family's expense, and so I truly, truly appreciate them for not giving you too much of a hard time about all the time you invest here at the bar room. And I wish you guys have a really, really fabulous Valentine's night. And it goes on into the weekend, and I'll drop in sound effects of all sorts of sexy stuff going on here. So I also want to tell everybody that if you drink, please do not drive, and always bear down.
Bear down.
Pass roots.
Yeah. Marcus Davenport, please.
Coaching. It doesn't matter.
Hey, what are we doing out there? Just throw anybody out there. Give me a fucking tank, I'll sell it.
Party in my pants. Bring your own beer.
Shout out the boys that sent two of those rhymes were the boys.
Good night.
Later.
Guys.
Thanks, guys.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, faithful fans. I'm the Love Doctor, bringing you more valuable love advice. Tip number 5. It may sound like a cliche, but I assure you, your sweetie will adore long walks on the beach. Want to up the romance factor? Try rolling in the sand and let your seaweed-scented cologne work its magic. Wow.